Hi, Professor Charlie Evans. You're looking at a movie still from one of the most forgettable movies ever made by John Wayne. This was his 1965 film, The Conqueror, in which he led an all star cast as Genghis Khan, head of the Mongol Empire, creator of the Mongol Empire. And not only the Duke was in the movie, but it had an all-star cast with people like Susan Hayward, the World War II pinup queen, Agnes Moorehead, who's best known for her portrayal of the stepmom on Bewitched, and William Conrad, who went on uh, to work in great TV series like Cannon and then Jake and the Fat Man. But John Wayne as Genghis Khan is really an unbelievable portrayal. Um, but it's interesting and it gets us talking about the Mongols. From your little bit of reading that you do in a textbook, you'll know that the Mongol Empire created the largest empire in world history. And you can see the extent of the empire going from the shores of the Pacific Ocean all the way around the Black Sea and to the shore of the Eastern Mediterranean, encompassing much of southern Siberia, the Near East, and most of China, all created as part of the Mongol Empire in the 13th century. In the 241 class, which is my intro to Russian history course, I have really good remarks that I've written up about the Mongols and their influence and impact on early Russia. The Mongols had a devastating impact when they reached Russia in the 13th century. Uh, from the Russian sources, it's a tale of destruction as city by city by city was destroyed by the Mongol armies, and the Russians proved rather incapable of mounting a defense against the Mongol armies. Uh, the Mongols tended to isolate Russia from developments in Western Europe for over a century and a half, and that proved really important as a formative period of Russian history. The other thing I want to mention about the Mongols is this website called Field Expedition Mongolia. This is a crowdsourcing website in which users are invited to participate and look at aerial photography and maps of Mongolia in a search for the tomb of Genghis Khan, which remains lost and its location unknown. Um, Historians, archaeologists, treasure seekers have been searching for the tomb for centuries now, and it has been not found yet. And so the Field Expedition Mongolia is an attempt to use crowdsourcing and internet users in an attempt to look at uh, features on the ground in Mongolia and try and determine where the tomb might be located. Genghis Khan was an extraordinary leader. He was able to mold the tribes and clans of Mongolia into a really effective mounted fighting force in the early 13th century. Those armies then swept across the steppe, across Central Asia, into Russia, into Europe, into the Near East, and proved largely undefeatable. Um, and established an empire that we already mentioned that was the largest empire ever to exist in world history. Um, there's there's pathetically little about the Mongols in the world history text that you have, and so I invite you to read my detailed comments on the Mongols in Russian history, and then also do some exploring on the web about the Mongols so you get a better understanding of their impact. One of the reasons why there tends to be very little in the world history textbook is that authors have assumed that as the empire broke up into the different Khanates, for example, the Golden Horde in the southern part of Russia, etc., that the long term impact of the empire began to be diminished as the constituent parts broke apart and merged and became part of local society, customs, culture, etc. And the unity of the empire didn't seem to have kind of a unified impact on the course of world history. Okay, thanks.